Well, joining us now from Potsdam, Germany, we have Harley Schlanger, spokesman for the International Schiller Institute, to offer us more insight on this recent case. Mr. Schlanger, welcome to the program. First of all, give us your perspective on this recent case involving Ben Robert Smith.
Well, unfortunately, the story of Ben Robert Smith is not an exception. As your news report just reported, there were many cases of civilians killed in Afghanistan. I would refer people to the WikiLeaks reports, which included 91,000 documents on the Afghan war from 2004 to 2009, in which there were written reports from soldiers and military intelligence of crimes against the civilian population. The real issue is, why has this never been brought for prosecution? Why is there no accountability? And what I would say is, while holding this one individual responsible, what about the leaders of these countries that conducted the war against Afghanistan, which continued until just 2 years ago, with many, many more casualties, and continues to extract harsh conditions on the Afghan people because of the sanctions and the theft of money? So what we're looking at is the brutal arrogance of an imperial grouping, which includes the United States and the Five Eyes countries, and should be the subject of war crimes tribunal.
That's right. That's exactly where I was going next, as the opposing side to this case stated that the Australian government should use the court's findings to investigate the crimes committed by soldiers in Afghanistan. As you mentioned, it's not just the Australian Army Special Forces. There were a number of other countries and private security firms that were involved in the killing of innocent civilians in Afghanistan. How can that issue of accountability ever be brought to the international arena and to the respective courts, and to see action in that regard?
Well, let me point out, it's not just Afghanistan. You have similar cases in Yemen, in Libya, in Syria, in Iraq. I would argue that the sanctions against Iran and other countries are also war crimes. The problem is, the people who commit these crimes are the ones who control the International Criminal Court. And they just indicted Russian President Putin for his country withdrawing into protective custody of children from Ukraine who were living in a war zone. They call that a war crime. But the kinds of mass slaughter that we see in Afghanistan and these other countries, conducted by primarily NATO and the Five Eyes allies, is somehow ruled off the books. It's not allowed to be investigated. Now, this should lead to an outcry from the institutions of the Global South. And by that I mean the BRICS, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the African Unity, various Middle East organizations, UNISOR in South America. The Global South is coming together as an anti-imperial force going against the crimes that have been committed to defend the unipolar order. I think as part of it, there should be a call for full investigation of war crimes and prosecution. And again, not just of the individuals who may have used the guns or the weapons to carry out the crimes, but of those who signed the documents and passed the enabling legislation for these crimes to be committed.
Thanks a lot to Harley Schlanger, joining us from Potsdam, Germany.